Long ago, in a quiet little village, there lived a humble farmer. He was not wealthy, nor did he trade in many goods. His simple livelihood came from raising cows and making butter to sell at the market. Every week he brought a pound of butter to a local baker. Their exchange seemed ordinary, trustworthy, and steady. The farmer believed he was offering the best of what he had, while the baker happily paid and used the butter to bake loaves of bread for the villagers. Over time, what began as a simple transaction grew into an important bond between their families. No one could have imagined that from this very exchange, a story about honesty and justice would emerge. After several weeks, however, the baker began to feel uneasy. He suspected that the blocks of butter he received were not as heavy as promised. At first, the thought passed quickly, but suspicion grew stronger with each delivery. One morning, he placed the butter on a scale to be sure. When the needle settled, his fears were confirmed. The butter weighed less than a pound. Anger and disappointment filled his heart. To him, this was not merely a matter of lost money, but a betrayal of trust and dignity. Believing he had been deceived, he resolved to seek justice. News of the dispute spread quickly through the village, stirring great curiosity. On the day of the trial, the courtroom was crowded. The baker stood before the judge, his voice sharp with frustration, accusing the farmer of repeatedly cheating him with underweight butter. He argued that such dishonesty not only harmed his business, but also undermined trust between people. The judge listened carefully, then turned to the farmer, demanding an explanation. The room fell silent as all eyes fixed on the modest man, waiting to hear his defense. The farmer stepped forward, his appearance plain, his tone calm. The judge asked sternly, "What do you use to weigh the butter you sell?" The farmer lowered his head and answered honestly, "Your Honor, I am poor. I do not own proper weights. All I have is a simple scale." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some voices sympathetic, others skeptical. The judge pressed further. "If you have no weights, how can you be certain that your butter measures exactly 1 pound?" The farmer lifted his gaze, his voice steady. "Your Honor, I have always bought bread from this very baker. Each loaf he sells is said to weigh 1 pound. Whenever I receive a loaf, I place it on my scale and then cut an equal amount of butter to sell back to him. So, if today he finds the butter weighs less than 1 pound, then it must mean his bread has never truly weighed what he promised." The farmer's simple words struck the room into silence. The truth was plain. The baker himself had been dishonest. Whispers spread through the crowd and disappointed eyes turned toward the accuser. The judge struck his gavel and declared, "Justice is founded on honesty." The baker's face turned red with shame, his accusations now exposed as hypocrisy. From such a small matter came a great lesson. In life, what you give is what you will receive. The farmer had not intended to cheat, he merely mirrored back what was given to him. If the bread had been full weight, so too would the butter. But since the bread was light, so too was the butter. This was not deceit, but a reflection, proving that fairness is revealed not by words alone, but through actions. Too often people chase short-term gains through dishonesty. Yet such deceit always returns to harm the deceiver. The baker thought shaving a little weight from his loaves would go unnoticed, but that very act became evidence against him. Dishonesty may bring temporary profit, but it destroys reputation, honor, and trust. Things that once lost are almost impossible to restore. The trial ended, but its impact lingered in the hearts of all who witnessed it. The story reminded everyone that honesty brings peace of mind and builds lasting trust. A truthful person is naturally trusted, and such trust opens doors to countless opportunities. Simple yet profound, the lesson is clear. Live with integrity, for whatever you sow will surely return to you in kind.